Chapter 1 of the college football season, the non-conference portion, comes to a close here in Week 4. Then in Week 5, we get the headliners portion of the season started, and we start with a huge headliner, Georgia and Alabama. Heavyweight bout in the SEC. Now, the last time that these two teams met, guys, Alabama was sending Georgia packing. They were not going to the college football playoff. You got to imagine that Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs have that front of mind when they go to Tuscaloosa and play this game, guys. Both these teams have their starting quarterbacks back. Who do you give the edge to in this matchup at the quarterback spot, Maddie?
I'm going with Jalen Milroe right now, and the reason why is because I just trust that their skill group is better. It's deeper. I think Jalen Milroe is legit. He plays hard. He blocks unselfish football when he's in pass protection and when he's blocking for Jalen Milroe. Yeah. Ryan Williams is, I don't know, maybe the best receiver, in college football in a lot of sense. I mean, he's definitely top 10 as a 17-year-old, so that's crazy. And I think that Kalen DeBoer and them have really found what their identity is on this offensive side and put defenses in binds with the fact that Jalen Milroe can run it, but he's also really good at throwing the football down the field.
And identity is the key word right there, Matt, because the integration of Milroe in the running game is one of the most exciting parts that I've seen with this Kalen DeBoer, Jalen Milroe combo. They're running a lot of RPO, new elements of it, and it forces the defense to kind of respect him as a runner. Yeah. But then at the same time, they're still able to hit on those explosive plays. Right now, Alabama leads the nation in 20-plus yard throws down the field. And on top of that, Jalen Milroe, he's hurting you in all different types of ways. He's busting out for long runs. He's hitting you for long passes. Leads the nation right now in total touchdowns, and he just has one turnover. Yeah. That's a difference right there. But when I look at Georgia and how they're going to match up against this team, because we're looking at Kalen DeBoer, offensive-minded head coach, and then we got Kirby Smart, a defensive-minded head coach, and that's where the battle is really going to be. But Kalen DeBoer is 12-2 against AP teams that are ranked, and now he goes against a Kirby Smart team that has struggled against Alabama. So, Matt, when you look at this matchup between the coaches and how they're going to be dueling, what are you looking at?
I really am looking at that side of the football and what Kirby Smart's going to do. And I really think the question will be is just like, how does Kirby Smart want to attack Alabama's team right now? Do you want to play some sort of zone and do that match quarters coverage where you're basically pressing the outside receivers, but you're still keeping a two-deep safety, sorry, Mel Kiper, and really just trying to stop the run from that quarters look? Yeah. Or are they going to try to hey, let's sell out, let's win the line of scrimmage, let's dominate that way and see if Jalen Milroe can win from a collapsed pocket and pick us apart as a passer? That'll be the question. I'm not sure if they can get home just rushing 4 against Alabama's O-line, who's getting healthier, and the chemistry is definitely building as the weeks go.
To your point, Scoob, since Kirby Smart got to Georgia, he's 1-5 against the Tide. So this has been his kryptonite, and now Nick Saban no longer there. But like you just said, Kalen DeBoer has had a ton of success as a head coach for college football teams, whether it be at Washington, now at Alabama. It just seems like they haven't missed a beat at all. I want to bring it back to Georgia before we get out of here. Your level of concern for the Georgia Bulldogs after what they did against Kentucky, because this is nothing new for Georgia. Right. But it seems like at least on the outside, people are kind of freaking out. But they did this last year. South Carolina, they needed a late comeback. Same with Auburn. Even the year before against Missouri. So this is kind of this is something that we have seen before with Georgia, that they have kind of struggled a little bit, but somehow find a way to win the game, and then they go on to an undefeated season. But
my one concern really, and especially as we watch this game right here, is just that Kentucky's talented, but Kentucky was all over them, and that's my concern. They couldn't really scheme up any plays that gave him any opportunity or Carson Beck to really feel good about themselves, and that was concerning to me. So the fact that it seemed like Kentucky was in the huddle with you, as you were calling the play, is a little bit of an issue with me right now, and that's where I'm concerned for this football team.
Who's their playmaker? We were talking about this. Who is Georgia's playmaker?
That was going to be my question, because when you look at Georgia last year, we knew that when they needed to get a play, and they needed a third down, you would go to Brock Bowers. No doubt. But right now, who is it? Dominic Lovett is their leading receiver in that room right now, and his numbers aren't explosive or game-changing, just a little bit over 150 yards passing. What about 15, 16 receptions? So it's not something where you look at and say, all right, that is a game-changing type of guy. I know when I look at the Alabama roster, they're going to go to Ryan Williams when they need a play.
Don't forget about Bernard either. He's a really good football player, too. The transfer from Washington that Kalen brought over, too. And they also find ways to get Cuevas the football too, the tight end, the other transfer from Washington. So that's where I'm like a little just. Kalen DeBoer in Alabama, they've already kind of proven that they can feed everybody on the offensive side of the football, and Georgia is still yet to do that.
Questions in the secondary for Alabama, just very young, and they haven't really been tested by a passing quarterback yet, like we were talking about.
And that's the thing, right? You got a couple redshirt freshmen, and you got a true freshman in your secondary. Haven't been tested there, but one of the biggest things when you look at Alabama is the penalties, right? Because they were a really penalized team last year.
Yeah.
This season, they've kept that under control a little bit, more so last week. But against South Florida, that's where they were still racking up penalties, and we'll see what they're able to do with discipline in the game.